Welcome to Cooking with Miss O. Let's join Mary Beth Oxendine in the kitchen as she teaches you how to cook Southern style healthy.
Welcome back to Springer Mountain. Welcome back to Cooking with Miss O. And I just want to tell you that this show is about trying to show you all over again what this show is about.
So why don't you explain to the people, Mary Beth, what your show is about so everybody will know.
Well, it's about eating clean foods and live foods and not dead foods. Now, what I mean by dead foods, all of these things are live. This is live, all of this is live. But we get a lot of processed food out of the grocery store, and that is why we have so many health problems, because we're eating dead food. So in my cooking classes, processed food is dead food. Yeah. So there are two kinds of food in your grocery store. There are dead foods and there are live foods. And if we fill up our bodies on dead foods, then we have no nutrition. Even though it says on the little box or on this or that it has this kind of vitamin or that kind of vitamin, most of that is synthetic vitamins. It's not even real vitamins. And where you get your real food from is where it's been in the sunshine and when it's been fed grains, the right grains, when you eat the right grains. Now, I have Rebecca here can even testify to the fact that eating real grains and eating live foods will heal you. And it did you.
And it brings the life back into you.
Right.
It changed Rebecca's life, didn't it?
Absolutely.
She went from
God healed me through the food that He put on the planet for us to eat. Right. And through people like Gus here who raise healthy chickens that I think are prayed over because you can actually taste it in the meat. So definitely eating living grains is the key to fighting off diseases like heart disease, diabetes, Alzheimer's, arthritis, cystic fibrosis, any intestinal disorders, cancer,
colon cancer.
Yes, all kinds of cancers.
Colitis, a lot of things.
Crohn's
disease, he had Crohn's disease.
Yes, the author of the book, The Maker's Diet, Jordan Rubin, was healed of Crohn's disease. He was told that it's incurable and that he would have to suffer and possibly lose all of his intestines. And through changing his diet to a biblical diet, was healed.
Yes, and the way I've learned is the Old Testament. The way I do my grains, the way I eat is Old Testament living. Even though I'm a Southern Baptist and I totally believe in the New Testament, I don't want anybody to think I don't, but it was a lady who taught me how to do this, who did the Old Testament. Jordan Rubin does the Old Testament way of eating too. So as Southerners, we do love our pork, right?
I love chicken better.
I know you do.
We love chicken.
But we do. But I just want to tell you that we just don't have the clean meat. And in the Bible, it tells us that the pig was the garbage can, the garbage truck for the earth. And so just things like that, when you go back and read and what God created it to be, then you realize that you really don't need to be eating those things. And
That's correct.
You can find out that a lot of times they have found out with arthritis that women who have arthritis, they actually got something from the pork, and that's what caused it. And it's really things like that we need to avoid. So
Now,
what we want to teach.
Excuse me, but I think, Rebecca, you said that you'd been bothered with arthritis, correct?
Absolutely.
And by your diet, you helped control it.
And one thing that in particularly seems to help is taking cod liver oil that's been tested so that it's mercury-free, lead-free, free of any PCBs, and just a really high-quality cod liver oil helps to lubricate the joints. Also, the Springer Mountain chicken broth that we made on the last segment is really, really good for keeping down inflammation, and that's the main thing that causes a lot of disease, including joint pain.
That's exactly right. And we also know that having low vitamin D, and almost everybody has low vitamin D, and we think we just get it from the sunshine, and we don't just get it from the sunshine. And so if you have low vitamin D, you will have fibromyalgia. It also causes breast cancer. It also causes strokes and heart attacks.
Thyroid
Going down and stuff like that. So we are recommending here in this show that you eat live foods, and then you will not have, with your children, all this. Right now in America, we have diabetes in children.
It's rampant.
Yes, and it's not just type 2, but children now have type 2, and that used to be an older person's diabetes.
correct.
But now we have children, I know plenty of kids that are under 18 who have type 2 and juvenile. And that tells you right there it's
It's
our
from
diet.
what they eat.
Right,
so
it is.
important. It's so
And I know
important.
you feel like that, well, I can't afford to eat this way, or I can't. Now, as far as the chicken goes, Cooking with Miss O will give you as many and whatever coupons you want. Stop me in the grocery store. I always have them with me or in my car. If you see me anywhere, I have them in my car. And the other thing...
Go to SpringerMountainFarms.com, ask for them.
That's
We'll send them
right.
to you.
That's right. And all you have to do is send Tobe a message and we'll send them to you. I also want to tell you, too, all of this, you can sometimes see when it's on sale. I pretty much know when it's on sale. But when you're not buying what people call junk food, I call dead food. When you're not buying junk, dead food, then you would be surprised at how easy it is. Right, Rebecca?
Not only is it
Can you see that?
affordable if
Yes.
you are saving on the doctor's bills, and because if you are eating dead foods, then you're going to feel ill.
You're going to feel.
You might not
I
even
thought that
realize
was
it. You might not even
a great analogy,
realize
though.
it.
It's what you said about, you know, if you don't spend it up front on good food that you ought
You'll
to eat,
spend it on the
you'll,
back
you'll
end.
spend it on the doctor bill. That's
Absolutely.
correct.
Exactly right.
And nothing against doctors, and there are people out there that, you know, doctors have helped them to be healed. But from my personal testimony, I was healed through eating living foods and eating nutritious foods.
Well, let me just tell you, in the 1930s and 40s, when we were eating live foods from our gardens, grinding our grains, having chicken that was healthy because the ground hadn't been sprayed up and all this, and they were fed whole grains, just like Gus Arundel feeds his. He feeds his the best grain, and he keeps trying to do more and more and better and better. But when you had that, they didn't even though we had a great medical system that time and a great recording medical stuff in Chicago, Illinois, they did all kinds of things with thyroid and all. Heart disease was not even on the meteor. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but neither
Not
was
even on the
thyroid,
radar.
neither was diabetes. And if they did have diabetes and they had type 2, it was way late in life. What people died from back then were things that we didn't have antibiotics or shots for, you know, like measles and things like that. But otherwise, they were very healthy. That's how these people could work on their farms and work hard. Because when you get through eating, give you a good example. When we first started with whole grains, I made my own cereals and I made my bread. Well, my son was about 5 then, and he could eat 2 to 3 bowls of Cheerios. But when I made whole grain cereal and had the bread, my son could only eat 1 bowl, and it was a half a bowl. Filled him up, and he didn't come in asking, Mom, I'm hungry, can I have a snack?
I can attest to that
Yes,
as well.
I ate breakfast, I ate lunch, I ate 1 snack in the afternoon or in the evening,
I can
and then I
definitely
have
attest
dinner.
to that.
Yes, yes, and what you
So
eat
you actually
fills
save
you
money
up.
that way too,
Yes.
because you're
Correct.
eating smaller portions.
Now, ladies, let me get you in a really good way. If you start eating this way, okay, and you stop saying, oh, I can't afford to do that, I can't afford to do that, and you cut out all the junk food and everything, your kids will not be as cranky. They will sleep better at night. You won't have, and I'm sorry to say this on the thing, but you won't have constipation, and you won't have hiatal hernias, and you won't have all the indigestion. And if you do happen to have a little indigestion after food, just take a half a tablespoon of organic Bragg's apple cider vinegar, put it in a half a cup of distilled water or spring water, drink that down, and it'll go right away. You don't need all the other stuff, so you're saving money there because you're also using the Bragg's for your salad dressing. But I just want to tell you, in the winter, when I picked my stuff, and I made sure I picked in fields that didn't have a lot of chemicals, and then I made all my stuff, and I had everything we needed to eat from September all the way until spring in my pantry. So Tom didn't take away the grocery money. He was wonderful about that. I still got my $50 a week. And I just want to tell you that that's how I decorated my house. That's how we had new clothes. And that's what I did with it. So, you know, I just want to tell you that there is fun when you save money, ladies, and when you're on a budget and everything. So don't think, oh, goodness, you know. But I just want to explain to you, this is my grinder, and so many of you have asked about that. I'm going to show you the top here. Excuse me, Gus. And it's called the kitchen meal. It is the Blend-Tect. Okay, now, this is the only one I use. I did have a different brand at one point, and I will tell you, it's the easiest to take care of, the easiest to clean up, and the cheapest, and it's the best. Mine broke, And at one point, because I put the wrong kind of grain in there, I called them up. They sent me a free one because it should have ground that grain. So I've had a grinder for 26 years now, and mine lasted 24 years.
Wow.
And then they gave me a brand new one for free.
And what do you grind
No
in
sugar.
there?
I can grind. The only thing you can't grind is flaxseed.
Okay.
And so, and we need to go to a commercial. Thanks, y'all. We'll be right back. Welcome back, y'all. Now, I have made this bread with whole grains, and
It comes out so easy.
we're all laughing because I don't ever want to lead y'all the wrong way. The bread here, I always have to take a knife to go around it. Wait till it's not so hot, because if you do, then the bread will just tear apart. And so then we can just cut it like this. And I do this with just whole wheat. I have a bread knife from Pampered Chef, but it's at home in my kitchen because I forgot to bring it.
Right, and Mary Beth, what kind of grains do you have here?
That's what I was
The
going to...
3 different grains.
Okay, these are my favorites. I have oats, which I make my own granola, and it's in the cookbook. I make, this is my whole wheat. The smaller one's the whole wheat. The lighter, longer one is the oats.
Okay.
And I'm going to tell you something, but you'll probably...
Bread smells great.
contradict me on this, but when they tell you that oats will drop your cholesterol and all like that, they mean, and they know what they mean, that if it's fresh ground within the first 72 hours, it has the nutrition to drop your cholesterol. But the oats you're eating in the grocery store are dead. It's been over 72 hours, and the only way it can hold its nutrition if it's unground. Once it's ground, you only have 72 hours for any kind of seed or bean that you open. Okay?
So now, like your bread that you bake, it's alive.
Yes.
It is. Will it dwindle as time goes on?
Yes.
It will.
Yes,
Okay.
it will.
So you need
yes.
to eat it while it's
so,
fresh.
well, God said in His Word that, referring to the wheat berry, that it's your daily bread. So they made bread daily. So I try to make it, and within 2 or 3 days, my bread's gone.
Okay.
But if you save it, you'll notice, I tell you to put it in the refrigerator because it doesn't have any preservatives in it. But
Now,
after a while...
this was just baked this morning.
Yeah, I just baked it this morning. It turns a kind of a darker color, and it's still all right to eat. But when it gets to that point, I grind it up, again, not in this grinder, but in my food processor, put it in a plastic bag, put it in the refrigerator. I use that for my breadcrumbs.
Okay.
Okay, so, and it's even still like that, good for you. The other thing is, you want to keep your colon moving all the time. If your colon is not moving, then you will develop cancer and all kinds of inflammations and all kinds of problems, indigestion and all. So a lot of times when you have all this in here, it's because your colon's not moving
And
right.
I have to say this, it's so important to get it moving naturally too, and not to use anything that's going to be forceful on it, because that can actually tear it up and kill
you.
kill
That's
the
right.
intestines.
And
Really
so,
bad.
Well, yes.
So the best way to get it moving is by eating whole grains, things high in fiber, naturally high in fiber,
Right.
taking soil-based organisms and things that will help the flora and fauna in the gut be balanced.
That's right. That's right. And a lot of people who have a bad gut have yeast problems. And so, did you have yeast problems too, Rebecca? Yeah. I thought when you said about all the stuff that's what my daughter had. And so, you can get rid of yeast. Everybody's saying, get rid of your gluten, get rid of your gluten. That isn't true at all. So, if you're eating a store-bought bread, and you're going to have problems. You're going to have yeast problems, you're going to have colon problems, you're going to have it because it is a dead food and it will go nowhere. And so if you're eating this, everything moves through your system. So everybody asks why I'm so thin. I am thin because everything moves through all the time. And I can tell when I'm eating bad stuff because things aren't moving. So when you have little children that the stuff's not moving, then you are feeding them the wrong things. And you want to give them apples and celery and carrots and fresh parsley. I mean, you can just even eat the fresh parsley like that. The first time I saw my grandmother do that, she was European, she was Austrian and German, and on my mom's side. And she ate all raw foods. It was wonderful. She lived to be 96 years old, and she was swimming and playing basketball at 89.
Wow.
I know, and
that's
she was
great.
shorter than me.
That's amazing.
But the first time I saw her eating fresh parsley, she was just eating it, and I said, Grammy, what you eating trees for? And she said, oh, Mary, this is delicious. It's good for you. So that's how my first, where I saw that. But we never had any problems as kids with our colon at all. And I had friends then later on that I found out, and I know you had that. And I'm sorry to talk about all this, but
No,
this is
I think
the
it needs to
colon
be
and the
talked
gut.
about.
I do
Yeah.
too.
The doctor told me that most of his patients have issues, that it was normal to have issues. It's not normal. It's not normal. That should not be the standard.
No, not at all. And I have so many people come to me and do the cooking class just for that. And for the first time after eating this way, they can actually have a normal life. Let's just put it that way. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Now I'm going to tell you, they say lentils is the best, and I beg to differ. Okay, lentils is excellent. I grew up on lentils actually, and pinto beans are just as good, if not better, than lentils. And I think the reason why people say lentils is because they're from up north and their families were from European countries who ate lentils. But Southerners love their pinto beans. And pinto beans have the same, if not better, health as the lentils. And if you look that up, you can change it. I mean, you can find that out. So I love my pinto beans. You can grind pinto beans into flour. And you can do that in there too if you want to. I also love the little baby navy beans too, and I think they're excellent. And when I make the navy beans, I use chicken broth from Sparrow Mountain, and I cook those in that, and then I put a little bit of carrots in, and then it makes a wonderful bean soup. And a little bit of onions, a little bit of garlic, and of course the Sparrow Mountain broth. So I just want y'all to know that we also, another grain that we use, and I get this at Ingles, and I couldn't get that at Ingles, and I used to have to buy it in 50-pound bags, and I had to buy enough for the whole year because they wouldn't bring trucks down here over the mountains and stuff really well, the ones from these big farms. And so this is out of Texas. It's organic. They have it there. This is the long grain. I love the long grain, and I love the short grain. And it has a wonderful taste. I spent a whole semester going through rice with my family to finally find a rice that didn't smell, that they didn't like, and that they would eat. And this has been a hit. And every time I use it, everybody loves it. And when you have this, you just don't have, okay, let me explain too. When you eat like this, you don't have a swollen belly. You used to have a swollen belly, didn't you?
Yes.
My daughter used to look like she was from, where they were so sick in Biafra and places like that, where
And
the children's
pain, so
bellies.
Mountain
much pain.
Jews.
Yeah.
And you just have this feeling of
Horrible
heaviness,
pains, heaviness and
horrible
pains.
pain,
Horrible
pain,
pains,
yeah.
yes.
Crippling.
And that all goes away when you eat like this. Within days, it changes, doesn't it? I had one young lady come to one of my cooking classes, and she had to go to the hospital regularly because of problems. And she was young, and her mom and her came, and it totally changed overnight for her. It changed overnight for you too, didn't it?
Well, that's a miracle. Actually, for the first few weeks that I changed over to the Maker's Diet, I actually felt worse. I felt significantly worse, and I thought for sure that I was going to die. But God spoke to me and said, have hope that I will bring you healing, and continue to stay disciplined in this, and I promise it will come. And he made that promise to me. And so I stuck with it, and sure enough, I'm here today as a testimony to the fact that eating living foods and eating the diet that God intended for us will allow us to do so many more things that we didn't know we were even capable of doing.
That's right. And I forgot about that. I should tell people, depending on how much toxins you have in you, you probably are going to be sick for about 2 weeks. You're not going to feel good, but it's because God is taking it out of you. If you have to wear deodorant, sorry to tell you all this, but if you have problems with sweating, perspiring, and
Body
smelling,
odor,
foot, yes, and feet odor, and your shoes and stuff. Once you eat this way, all that goes away, and you don't even need fans in your bathroom anymore. You're fine. Because it's toxins. It's all the chemicals
And your
stuff.
skin, too. It will push all the toxins out
It
through your
will,
skin.
and then you'll break out for a little while. Now we're going to a commercial break. Thank you. Welcome back, y'all. We've just got a few minutes here. I just want to tell you the devotional I'm doing this year is Choosing Joy by Angela Thomas, because as we talked earlier and then in the last show, joy is the only thing lasting, and I have definitely learned that, and it's really better. It's really better. The other thing I want to talk to you about, I got an email, and I've been asked things, and I've always just kept quiet. And after this email, I know it's time for me to say something. When Tom died, he was an economics teacher, a wonderful economics teacher. He had everything that would be fine for us, and we would be okay. And I'm going to try not to cry while I tell you all this. And but anyway, there was some dishonesty and the people that were handling the money, and some of it went back 20 years even. And so from September 11th until December 1st of that year, 2007, Marie and I had no income at all. And but I had made a promise to Tom 2 days before that I would not go back to work and that I would stay home until Marie was married and in her own home with her husband. And so I kept that promise. But that also meant that things were really tough, and I had to ask God what to do, but He took care of that. He allowed me to get sick, so it was impossible for me to go to work. And because of losing one of our babies that we've lost 4, I was given the wrong medicine, and they told me one day my gallbladder would just shut down. And I guess in the stress of losing Tom, my gallbladder just shut down, but nobody caught it for 3 years. And so I had run a temperature for 3.5 years, and then they took it out, and it had died inside of me. And I lost down to about 70 pounds, and the last 6 months I couldn't even drive. And so I need to tell you that during that time, Marie and I's income was, the net was $591, but the gross was more, so I had to keep he tithed off the gross, and I knew I had to do that. So I tithed $131. So what Marie and I lived on was $460 a month. And I want to tell you, some of you out there have shared with me that you're hurting in emails and stuff, and you wondered if I kept tithing. I have tithed the whole time. And I just want to thank you for caring about us and praying for us. But if you are in this situation, God will take care of you. Thank you.